Every social interaction is a battlefield, and you enter it armed only with awareness. The human mind is a fortress, guarded by habits, hidden fears, and unspoken intentions. To read it, you must first claim dominion over your own perception, sharpen your senses, and treat every conversation like a strategic engagement. Failure to do so leaves you exposed, a pawn unaware of the forces moving around you, vulnerable to subtle manipulation, and blind to the truth hidden in the ordinary. Begin by observing not only words, but the spaces between them, the flicker of an eye, the tension in a jaw, the pause before a response. Each is a missile fired in a war most never recognize. Those who master this battlefield anticipate movements, interpret signals with precision, and shape outcomes before others even understand the play. Recognize that the invisible war is constant. Every glance carries intent. Every gesture communicates more than speech. In meetings, casual conversations, or even brief encounters, the mind signals its strategy. Your task is to detect the patterns, distinguish the rehearsed from the authentic, and respond from a position of calm strength. When someone disagrees, observe their micro-expressions rather than react impulsively. A colleague questions your proposal. You pause, maintain eye contact, and note the subtle lean, the shift of weight, the tightening of hands. These reveal far more than their words alone. Respond not with confrontation, but with controlled articulation, guiding the exchange without force. Command respect through measured presence, turning tension into clarity and uncertainty into insight. Signals are the missiles of this silent conflict. Tone, posture, and pacing are artillery. An impatient foot tap, a rising voice, a hand drawn back, they all convey strategy. Reading them is not guessing, but decoding. A disciplined skill refined through repetition and reflection. Track these indicators, record your observations mentally, and integrate them into a broader understanding of behavioral patterns. Those who fail to notice the subtle barrage remain reactive, defensive, and ultimately predictable. Those who succeed move like predators, quiet yet aware, interpreting movements with speed and precision, leveraging knowledge without aggression. Your mind, disciplined and alert, is your command center. Maintain it rigorously, and others' intentions become transparent. Claiming the advantage requires deliberate cultivation of awareness. Observe before acting. Listen before judging. Map patterns across time, noting consistencies and deviations. Control your own reactions so that your presence itself guides outcomes. In negotiations, in friendships, in fleeting exchanges, your understanding of underlying motives positions you as the strategist, never the prey. Subtle shifts in voice or posture signal strategy long before it manifests in action. Use this insight ethically to navigate influence and protect yourself, not to coerce. Assert calm authority through observation, patience, and measured response, establishing psychological high ground without intimidation. Treat every interaction as reconnaissance and every observation as intelligence. Analyze with discipline, synthesize patterns, and anticipate developments. Do not be seduced by assumptions or appearances. Instead, refine perception into a reliable instrument. Each encounter adds to your knowledge bank. Each subtle cue strengthens your predictive capacity. Over time, you move unseen through social terrain, discerning intentions that remain invisible to others. You command without raising your voice, influence without explicit control, and protect your boundaries without conflict. This is the mastery of perception, the strategic edge that defines leaders of thought and presence alike. Observe relentlessly, interpret accurately, act decisively, and anchor yourself in unwavering calm. Let the battlefield of human intention unfold before your eyes, while your throne remains secure. Every glance, every hesitation, every unspoken thought is an opportunity to understand and respond with precision. Stand vigilant, disciplined, and perceptive, and the invisible war becomes your domain, where awareness is power and insight is sovereignty. I see all, I understand all, I rule without resistance. Your mind is your kingdom, and every thought is a soldier awaiting orders. To read another, you must first master the terrain within. Every impulse, every bias, every flicker of emotion is a potential breach in your defenses. Begin with internal surveillance. Observe your thoughts as a general scouts the battlefield, noting strengths, vulnerabilities, and patterns. Mental clarity is not optional, it is the foundation from which all insight flows. Without awareness of your own tendencies, you cannot distinguish genuine signals from noise. Track recurring judgments, the impulses that arise before reasoning has engaged, and the assumptions that color perception. Document these silently, internally, with the precision of an intelligence officer mapping enemy movements. This self-mapping ensures that when you turn your gaze outward, you perceive accurately, not through the distorted lens of unexamined bias. Fortify your mind. Construct mental walls that differentiate intuition from prejudice. Recognize that instincts are tools, not truths, and that unchecked assumptions allow deception to infiltrate. These fortifications are not rigid dogma, but flexible structures that adapt to the flow of information, absorbing patterns and filtering distortions. By reinforcing your internal defenses, you gain the capacity to see subtle cues in others, the hesitation in speech, the tension in posture, the incongruence between words and microexpressions. Just as a castle's walls protect from siege, mental fortifications safeguard perception from confusion and manipulation. Without them, every interaction becomes a minefield, leaving you vulnerable to misunderstanding, misjudgment, and strategic errors. Strategic focus is your weapon. Prioritize observation over reaction. Do not rush to respond to every stimulus. The throne of your mind is defended not through force alone, but through disciplined attention. Identify patterns in behavior, track deviations, and interpret context with precision. A colleague may challenge your proposal. Notice the subtle shift in tone, the tightening of shoulders, the fleeting glance. Reacting impulsively surrenders initiative. Observing, you gain leverage. Your calm assessment allows you to guide outcomes rather than be guided by them. Each moment of restraint sharpens insight. Each pause strengthens judgment, and each focused observation compounds into mastery. Exercise continuous vigilance. Mental sovereignty is maintained through relentless self-awareness, daily reflection, and disciplined attention to internal signals. Recognize emotional triggers, recurring cognitive biases, and habitual responses. Refine them into tools that inform rather than distort perception. Let each thought be evaluated, each judgment measured, and each reaction deliberate. Through this, your mind transforms into a command center from which insight flows unimpeded, capable of discerning intention, motive, and strategy in others. Integrate these practices into daily life. Before speaking, before reacting, scan your own mental landscape. Observe impulses, question assumptions, and hold your focus steady. Your internal surveillance and fortifications, combined with disciplined focus, allow the detection of subtle cues that reveal truth, otherwise hidden. You move through interactions like a strategist surveying a battlefield, each movement informed, each decision calculated, and each insight leveraged ethically and effectively. This is the mastery of the throne within. Stand unshakable in awareness, disciplined in thought, and precise in perception. Protect your mental kingdom, sharpen your insight, and rule your internal empire with unwavering vigilance. Every moment observed, every impulse understood, and every judgment measured brings you closer to true mastery over perception. Your throne is secure, your vision clear, and your mind impervious to distraction or deception. I see all, I discern all, I reign within. The morning is your battlefield, and the first hours are the skirmishes that dictate the day's momentum. Rise with deliberate purpose, scanning your environment as a general surveys the terrain before troops deploy. Each movement, each glance, each encounter carries potential advantage or threat. Begin with ritual reconnaissance. Note the energy in the room, the expressions of colleagues, the subtle shifts in tone. Map these observations mentally, identify areas of tension, and prioritize where your focus will yield the greatest insight. These early assessments create a strategic map, allowing you to navigate interactions with precision rather than being swept along by circumstance. A single overlooked detail in the morning can become a vulnerability later, an exploitable weakness in perception or response. Weaponize your awareness through disciplined routines. Morning rituals sharpen perception, like armor forged in fire. Movement, reflection, and mindful observation engage neural circuits that heighten attention, enabling detection of subtle cues, often invisible to the unprepared. Pay attention to posture, microexpressions, pauses, and inflections. Recognize when statements are defensive, rehearsed, or reactive. Note repeated patterns in colleagues or clients that reveal priorities, pressure points, or hidden intentions. Even the smallest gesture, a delayed response, a slight frown, a diverted gaze carries intelligence if you are alert. These cues, gathered consistently over mornings, accumulate into a comprehensive understanding of the battlefield and those who inhabit it. Daily micro-battles define mastery. Every conversation, every negotiation, and even casual exchanges are engagements in which preparation matters more than reaction. Approach the first interactions of the day with a calculated mind. If a colleague challenges your plan, respond with calm authority, acknowledging their perspective while subtly steering the outcome. Observation first, response second. The throne of influence is defended through anticipation, not impulsive reaction. Record mental notes, reinforce lessons, and adjust strategies incrementally. Preparation before engagement ensures each word spoken, each decision made, advances your position rather than surrendering initiative. Structure your day to reinforce early dominance. Begin with clarity, prioritize focus, and allow awareness to dictate action. The first victories in perception set the tone for subsequent interactions, giving you advantage in discussions, negotiations, and leadership moments. Your early attentiveness determines whether others' intentions are transparent or obscured. Maintain vigilance, apply discernment to all signals, and refine perception continuously. Each morning observed, each micro-battle executed, compounds into a cumulative advantage that others rarely notice until it is too late. Act decisively, yet ethically. Use observation to inform strategy, not to manipulate. Respect boundaries, honor consent, and let awareness enhance understanding rather than exploit weakness. Command attention through calm, controlled presence, ensuring that influence is earned, not coerced. The early hours, disciplined and focused, create a platform from which you can read minds and act with clarity throughout the day. Let preparation, awareness, and tactical insight govern your actions, and the rest of the day unfolds under your measured control. Seize the morning, command the day. Silence is a weapon sharper than any blade, and those who wield it with precision command the battlefield of perception. The pause as power transforms ordinary interactions into arenas of revelation. When you resist the urge to speak, when you observe rather than react, Truths emerge naturally. Impatience is your adversary. The moment you fill gaps with words, you surrender intelligence to others. Let silence settle over exchanges, letting hesitation and discomfort reveal hidden motives. In negotiations, in meetings, in casual conversations, the calm observer gains more insight than the loudest speaker. Pause deliberately, measure every second, and allow the quiet to illuminate what others strive to conceal. Listen like a predator. Hunters do not act until they fully perceive the environment. They note every movement, every rustle, every subtle shift that indicates intention. Your ears, your eyes, your attention become weapons. Absorb words fully, not just superficially. Interpret tone, cadence, and inflection alongside body language. Each gesture, each glance carries information that can shift power. When a subordinate or colleague challenges your plan, respond after observing all signals. Calmly integrate their input, adjust strategy, but maintain presence as the anchor of authority. This is not manipulation, this is mastery of perception. Let the patterns of behavior dictate your response, not impulsive assumptions. Mindful presence intensifies the effect. Your mere focus exerts subtle psychological pressure, prompting others to reveal themselves unconsciously. Position yourself as the observer whose gaze cannot be ignored, whose attention frames reality. When people sense deliberate awareness, they disclose more than they intend. Microexpressions, accidental admissions, revealing gestures. Harness this by maintaining composed posture, measured breathing, and steady eye contact. In one instance, when a colleague disputed a proposal aggressively, simply listening, nodding, and remaining motionless led them to elaborate beyond necessity, exposing weaknesses in their own argument without confrontation. Your presence converts observation into intelligence, quiet into dominance, and awareness into strategic advantage. Integrate these techniques into daily interactions. Begin meetings with deliberate silence, absorbing dynamics before contributing. Let words be precise, purposeful, and delayed until full context is grasped. Treat every pause, every attentional shift as reconnaissance, gathering data to inform the next action. Resist filling gaps with chatter. Allow patience to force truth to surface. Discipline your mind to sustain stillness while others rush to speak. Mastery over the tempo of conversation grants unseen leverage, shaping outcomes without overt action. Silence does not weaken. It empowers, structures, and commands, creating conditions in which others unwittingly disclose intentions. Refine these skills continuously. Observe, absorb, remain present, and exercise restraint with unwavering consistency. Each interaction becomes an intelligence-gathering mission. Your mental fortitude, your composure, and your measured stillness define authority. Others speak and move around you, yet you remain the fulcrum of control, the silent strategist shaping the board without motion. This is weaponized stillness, a discipline that transforms observation into actionable insight. Stillness conquers all. Every battlefield is obscured by illusions, and the first act of mastery is clearing them. Cutting through illusions demands ruthless clarity. People hide behind masks of politeness, confidence, or authority, but their true intentions can only be discerned when you strip away performance. Observe beyond surface behaviors. Note inconsistencies, micro-expressions, and patterns that contradict spoken claims. A subordinate may praise a strategy, but subtly resist its execution. Detect this early. Do not react emotionally. Catalog the signals and adjust your course with precision. Treat every interaction as reconnaissance, separating authenticity from pretense. Discipline your perception to recognize truth as it stands, uncolored by appearances or theatrics. Bias is your hidden enemy. Prejudices distort observation and cloud judgment, like fog across a battlefield. Every assumption about character, motivation, or capability must be questioned. When you notice favoritism, personal leanings, or automatic judgments creeping in, pause, reset, analyze the situation on merit, data, and evidence alone. Let the fog lift before committing to a decision. In meetings, when a colleague's suggestion challenges your expectations, resist dismissing it due to prior opinions. Instead, weigh it objectively, noting strengths and weaknesses without judgment. Clarity emerges when the mind is free of mental clutter and every judgment becomes deliberate rather than reactionary. Decision precision follows naturally once illusions and biases are removed. Rapid, accurate decisions become possible because the battlefield of interactions is now visible. When all extraneous noise is eliminated, your choices are swift, grounded, and confident. The hesitation that allows others to manipulate or distract you disappears. Micro-decisions in conversation, negotiations, and daily planning compound into strategic dominance. For example, a team disagreement over project direction can be resolved decisively when each argument is evaluated solely on substance. You act based on reality, not perception distorted by personal preferences or false narratives. Efficiency and authority stem from this disciplined clarity. Maintain a daily practice of self-audit. Identify assumptions, challenge expectations, and continuously refine perception. Record observations, note discrepancies between appearance and reality, and adjust responses accordingly. The mind, uncluttered by bias, interprets intentions accurately, and actions follow with lethal efficiency. Treat every conversation, every negotiation, and every interaction as a tactical engagement. Eliminate cognitive noise, strip away illusions, and wield decisions with the certainty of a commander surveying the battlefield. Your focus and rigor transform uncertainty into advantage. Ruthlessness in elimination does not require aggression. It demands uncompromising clarity and disciplined discernment. Mental clutter is removed, biases are silenced, and judgment becomes an instrument of precision. Nothing obscures the intentions of others, and every action aligns with strategy. You see clearly, act decisively, and leave no opening for manipulation. The mind becomes your fortress, and clarity your weapon. Clarity conquers all. Authority begins not with words, but with presence. The way you occupy space, move, and breathe signals power to everyone around you. In the theater of human interaction, your body is the throne, your posture the armor, and your gaze the blade that cuts through pretense. When you enter a room, command the field silently. Observe, measure, and let your demeanor communicate control before you speak. Subordinates, peers, or strangers instinctively reveal intentions when they sense composure and focus. Presence as influence is not passive, it is a deliberate force that encourages disclosure without coercion. Stand, walk, and sit with intent. Position yourself to dominate conversations without overt dominance. Controlled expression is the mask of command. Hide impulses, desires, and judgments behind a calm, measured exterior. The less others can read your mind, the more willing they become to disclose their own. A leader may receive conflicting proposals from a team. Respond with a neutral expression and deliberate posture. Your silence and poise invite honesty and clarity. Masking does not deceive, it protects strategic insight while fostering an environment where truth is naturally revealed. Avoid sudden reactions or expressive gestures that hint at bias or preference. Practice micro-pause before responding. Let others fill the gap with their thoughts, while you maintain silent authority. Silent authority amplifies the effect of presence and control. Command respect without raising your voice. Authority becomes visible through consistent posture, unwavering eye contact, and calm demeanor. A tense disagreement at a negotiation table can be diffused by a single composed stance, a measured breath, and intentional listening. Others adjust behavior to align with the standard you silently set. Do not justify, explain, or over-articulate. Let your steady conduct guide the interaction. Observers and participants alike conform to the implicit hierarchy you establish. Transparency emerges because you remain a fixed point, unshaken by provocation, embodying the standard of discernment. Combine presence, controlled expression, and silent authority into a daily practice. Begin each day by aligning posture, refining gestures, and centering your mind on observation. In conversations, deliberately moderate reactions and cultivate neutrality. Document responses and note subtle cues of disclosure. Over time, people reveal intentions naturally because they sense your composure is unbreachable. Mask of command is not intimidation, it is strategic stewardship over perception and engagement. Your influence grows without verbal exertion. The mind you aim to read responds to clarity and calm command. Presence shapes observation, controlled expression protects insight, and silent authority enforces transparency. Each interaction becomes a chessboard where your positioning dictates the flow. Observe the field, maintain the mask, and extract information effortlessly. Master these elements, and your influence becomes invisible yet absolute. Presence governs all. Decisive action is the language of power. Hesitation is the poison that dulls perception and blinds strategy. Your mind must operate like a predator in the shadows, every sense alert, every decision measured. Doubt clouds judgment. Every moment spent questioning is an opportunity lost. Cultivate an inner assassin whose discipline permits no error, whose patience ensures every strike is precise. Observation becomes your weapon. Scan the environment, the gestures, the micro-expressions, the subtle tones that betray thought. Focus on what matters. Ignore noise, discard distraction. Like a predator stalking prey, your attention narrows to the essential, the vital clues that indicate intent. Each interaction is a hunt, each expression a signal. Hesitate and your insight becomes diluted. Act with clarity and understanding becomes lethal. Targeted observation demands unwavering focus. Identify the indicators that reveal hidden intentions. Words can mislead, but posture, timing, and reaction rarely lie. Remove the irrelevant, disregard embellishment and pretense. Observe patterns over impulses. Let your senses map the terrain of thought before engagement. A team meeting, for example, may present conflicting opinions. Notice subtle nods, pauses, or shifts in tone. These are the footholds of insight. Do not interject prematurely. Maintain composure while collecting intelligence. Your mind sharpens as you filter each piece of information, distinguishing between deception, uncertainty, and truth. Every observation accumulates until the landscape of intention is fully visible. Execution of insight is the culmination of preparation. Strike only when perception is complete. Impulsiveness is the enemy of accuracy. Delay until your understanding is absolute. Decisions should emerge like the closing of a trap. Swift and precise, implement strategies with confidence, knowing that every move is informed and deliberate. Allow patience to govern timing. Let intelligence dictate action. In negotiations or conflicts, a measured response ensures authority and control. Micro-adjustments in tone, body language, and timing can command compliance without overt pressure. Act from clarity, not reaction. Precision is non-negotiable. Every maneuver is guided by the full picture of thought you have cultivated. Integrate this inner discipline into daily practice. Begin by strengthening focus and eliminating self-doubt. Engage in deliberate observation exercises. Document behavioral cues and test hypotheses in controlled environments. Reflect on each interaction, identifying missed signals and reinforcing accurate judgments. Gradually, your mental lethality becomes instinctual, an unshakable capacity for understanding. The inner assassin is not cruel. It is exacting, impartial, and unflinching. It converts awareness into action, insight into influence. Command your perception with rigor, refine your mental edge, and cultivate the patience to wait for the decisive moment. Strike only with clarity. Hunger drives mastery. Just as a predator must feed to survive, your mind requires constant nourishment from observation, study, and experience. Knowledge is the sustenance of power, and every detail you absorb becomes muscle memory for insight. Consume information consciously, scan conversations, watch microexpressions, and note subtle shifts in tone. Each gesture, pause, and word is a morsel of intelligence. By feeding on these cues, you sharpen intuition and anticipate thought before it is voiced. Do not consume passively, analyze relentlessly. Store observations, compare them, and allow patterns to emerge. Treat every interaction as both a learning opportunity and a source of insight. History is your hunter's map. Study the strategies of leaders, influencers, and manipulators who succeeded or failed, and extract psychological truths that remain timeless. Observe how decisiveness, patience, and perception shaped outcomes. Learn from victories and mistakes alike. Consider the measured cunning of a tactician who navigated court intrigue, or the calculated restraint of a general who seized opportunity only when fully informed. Historical examples illustrate that human behavior, ambition, and deception follow patterns. Integrate these lessons into your daily practice, using them as a framework to anticipate reactions and strengthen judgment. Let their victories feed your strategic mind. Let their missteps warn your instincts. Practice in the wild converts knowledge into instinct. Apply observation in real-world interactions without forcing influence. Watch colleagues, friends, or strangers with the precision of a predator stalking prey. Notice who overcompensates, who hesitates, and who projects false confidence. Use these observations to refine prediction and response. A disagreement in a team meeting, for instance, becomes a case study. Identify hidden motives, remain composed, and guide resolution calmly. Each encounter reinforces learning, strengthening your capacity to read intentions and emotional undercurrents. Avoid over-analysis. Act only when clarity emerges. Like a wolf nourishing itself through hunting, integrate experience steadily. Continuous practice fuels mental agility, allowing instinct and insight to align seamlessly with observation. Maintain hunger daily. Schedule time for reflection, journaling, and study. Combine reading, real-life observation, and historical analysis. Allow patterns to accumulate and insights to crystallize. Feed your intellect deliberately, integrating new knowledge into existing mental frameworks. Avoid complacency. A wolf that stops hunting loses its edge. Let curiosity drive focus, and let disciplined attention shape perception. Recognize that mastery is iterative. Each observation, each lesson, each encounter adds to the strength of your intuition. Your mind becomes a well-fed predator, alert, patient, and ready to act decisively. Feed relentlessly, strike wisely. Every interaction is a move on a living chessboard. Each person you encounter represents a piece with intentions, strengths, and limitations, and your awareness determines how the game unfolds. Predictive strategy is your opening. Observe patterns in speech, posture, and decision-making to forecast actions before they materialize. Note repeated behaviors and small inconsistencies. They signal tendencies and reveal priorities. Anticipate responses, but remain adaptable. Like a grandmaster, weigh possibilities and plan several moves ahead. Overcommitting too early exposes vulnerabilities. Patience allows you to control tempo. Each observation is a piece moved toward advantage, a calculated step toward mental high ground. Control the center both psychologically and socially. Guide the flow of conversation, set the tone, and occupy the most influential position in the environment. Position yourself where insights are easiest to gather, where your presence shapes perception without overt effort. Influence subtly through questions, attentiveness, and strategic pauses. In a meeting, redirecting discussion to critical points without confrontation demonstrates mastery over the narrative. High ground does not mean domination through force. It means awareness, presence, and influence. Maintain calm authority. Let others reveal intentions while you consolidate understanding. Psychological centrality is an invisible advantage that amplifies observation and informs every next move. Sacrifice and gain is a principle of timing. Retreating or deferring action often reveals more than a reckless advance. Deliberate silence, careful listening, or allowing others to lead temporarily can expose hidden motives. Strategic patience magnifies comprehension. Choose when to act, and recognize that temporary concessions can yield permanent insight. Avoid impulsive reactions. Instead, gather intelligence and calculate the optimal moment. Micro-example. In a negotiation, conceding a minor point might reveal priorities of the opposing party, guiding you toward a long-term solution. Each calculated decision reinforces your control over outcomes and positions you for advantage on future turns. Integrate these principles into daily practice. Every meeting, conversation, and observation is an opportunity to refine prediction, influence, and strategic positioning. Chart moves mentally, adjusting to unexpected variables while maintaining overarching control. Observe human behavior as a living system of cause and effect. History, experience, and attentive study reinforce your capacity to forecast actions, manage perception, and execute moves with precision. Continually evaluate patterns, anticipate intentions, and position yourself where insight is maximized. Chessboard mastery is not about domination, it is about foresight, control, and understanding the dynamics of influence in every context. C5 moves ahead. Strike with precision. Discipline is the weapon that sharpens perception and hardens intuition. Every day, you engage in mental drills that forge your mind like steel tempered in fire. Observe strangers and allies alike. Note their hesitations, gestures, and shifts in tone. Each detail is a fragment of intention, each pause a signal of priority. Practice relentlessly, as if each encounter were a battle, and your understanding is the only shield between clarity and chaos. Mental drills are not passive. They demand focus, consistency, and the resolve to recognize patterns even when they contradict expectations. Command attention to subtle cues. Let observation become second nature. Resistance training fortifies your capacity to endure deception and ambiguity. Expose yourself to uncertainty, misdirection, and discomfort without flinching. Encounter contradictions and miscommunications as a soldier encounters traps on the field. Learn from them rather than reacting impulsively. This exposure conditions your mind to tolerate unpredictability, sharpening your ability to discern truth beneath appearances. When confronted with conflicting signals, remain composed. Assess, analyze, and recalibrate without yielding to frustration or impatience. In practice, a colleague might present conflicting intentions, resist the urge to respond immediately, and instead let calm assessment reveal underlying motivations. Resilience becomes armor under sustained pressure. A strong will allows you to remain unshaken, reading intentions even when stakes are high and emotions run deep. Each controlled reaction strengthens mental fortitude, enabling you to maintain clarity where others falter. Build routines that reinforce this capacity: morning reflections, observation exercises, and structured analysis of interactions. Reinforce boundaries internally, ensuring your responses arise from calculation rather than impulse. Resilience is not passive endurance. It is active engagement with difficulty, transforming challenge into insight and discomfort into strategic advantage. Each instance of self-control accumulates, solidifying a foundation of unbreakable mental strength. Integrate these practices into daily life. Approach every conversation, every observation, and every uncertainty as an opportunity to refine focus, resistance, and resilience. Your mind becomes a disciplined instrument, capable of detecting subtle intentions, anticipating actions, and navigating complex human dynamics with precision. Repetition converts effort into instinct, training perception to operate automatically in any environment. Through rigorous mental drills, exposure to ambiguity, and cultivation of resilience, you construct an unshakable framework for understanding the motives, desires, and intentions of those around you. Fortify your mind. Strike with clarity. Mastery begins when observation, intuition, and influence merge into an invisible force. You navigate social spaces like a predator moving silently through dense forest, unseen yet fully aware. Every glance, every hesitation, every subtle gesture becomes a data point, revealing intent without confrontation. Become the invisible predator. Do not announce presence, yet absorb everything. Position yourself where you can witness without interference. Let conversations unfold around you while your mind maps patterns and forecasts actions. The untouchable operates without leaving traces, collecting truths others unwittingly disclose. Commanding insight is the next evolution. Patterns once hidden become transparent, and agendas that previously threatened stability now surface clearly. Detecting deception is not about suspicion. It is about attentive calibration. When a peer attempts subtle influence or misdirection, recognize it calmly, adjust your behavior, and maintain composure. Weak, react immediately. Strong, observe, assess, and respond with strategic clarity. Use each interaction as an opportunity to strengthen comprehension, treating ambiguity as a lens rather than a threat. Awareness allows anticipation. Anticipation enables control. The final form of awareness is absolute control over perception and interpretation. Your understanding of human motives becomes so refined that intentions, desires, and fears are readable without explicit disclosure. The mind of others is no longer a mystery, because your attention, disciplined and relentless, captures nuances invisible to the untrained observer. When disagreements arise, remain unmoved. Redirect the conversation with calm authority, preserving relationships while asserting intellectual dominance. Each encounter reinforces the framework of untouchable perception, rendering hidden agendas impotent. To cultivate this state, integrate disciplined observation, active listening, and situational analysis into daily practice. Move through spaces with silent authority, gathering insights without intrusion. Anticipate reactions, recognize subtle cues, and convert knowledge into strategic advantage. Resist the temptation to act impulsively. Let restraint sharpen judgment. Repetition of these behaviors constructs cognitive armor, protecting from manipulation while enhancing clarity. The untouchable mind thrives not through fear or control, but through relentless awareness, disciplined intuition, and subtle influence. See all, be unseen, remain untouchable. Power is born when observation, discipline, and foresight converge into a single commanding presence. The battlefield is no longer a place of chance. It is your kingdom. Every interaction a strategic maneuver, every glance a potential revelation. You ascend the mind's throne, not by force, but by mastery of perception, cultivating awareness so refined that every subtle motion, every hesitation, every utterance is intelligible. Position yourself where you can oversee, where intention unfolds naturally, and learn to interpret without bias or distraction. Each observation becomes ammunition, each encounter a map of human intention. Sovereign perception is your crown. You interpret body language as clearly as words, reading microexpressions, vocal tonality, and timing as signs of intent. Anticipate deception before it manifests. Observe disagreement calmly. A colleague resists your proposal, but rather than react defensively, you analyze posture, cadence, and micro-reactions. Use this insight to guide conversation with precision, subtly redirecting outcomes while maintaining authority and respect. Weak, react emotionally. Strong, observe, assess, and redirect with composure. Let every movement of others inform your mental map. Master of outcomes is the scepter you wield. Predict actions, anticipate agendas, and neutralize hidden threats through deliberate positioning and tactical awareness. If deception arises, respond with measured intelligence, not reflexive judgment. Like a chess player envisioning moves several turns ahead, calculate possible courses and counter each with strategic subtlety. Command interactions by defining the parameters and guiding their trajectory, ensuring influence stems from comprehension rather than coercion. Maintain boundaries firmly, projecting confidence while observing every nuance. Mastery emerges through disciplined practice, not instinct alone. Psychological immortality solidifies your dominion. Knowledge of others' intentions grants an unassailable advantage, creating mental sovereignty that persists across circumstances. Your perception becomes an armor, your foresight a shield against unpredictability. Integrate disciplined observation, reflective analysis, and tactical restraint into daily practice. Move through social landscapes with silent authority, allowing intentions to reveal themselves under your scrutiny. Repetition hones acuity, consistency reinforces dominance. The mind's throne is not won in haste, but through relentless refinement of attention, intuition, and interpretive skill. Your kingdom extends beyond mere awareness. Every conversation, every decision, every interaction is a territory secured through knowledge, patience, and disciplined focus. Do not rely on fear or manipulation. Rely on clarity and understanding. Stand unwavering amidst chaos, processing signals others miss, absorbing information without attachment. Convert insight into action with subtlety and ethical precision. Let your presence command respect, silently. Your decisions informed by full comprehension, your influence inevitable yet unobtrusive. You are the observer, the strategist, the sovereign. See all, control all, remain unshaken. Daily mastery of observation is your foundation. Treat every conversation as reconnaissance, every glance as intelligence gathering. Each interaction becomes a battlefield where insight compounds like interest in a growing empire. Move with awareness, noticing micro-expressions, pauses, and tonal shifts. Every subtle cue adds to your map of human intent. Anticipate reactions, remain neutral in tension, and allow understanding to form before you respond. When disagreement arises, analyze without haste. A colleague challenges your perspective. Instead of defensive rebuttal, observe posture, expression, and speech cadence. Redirect the exchange with calm authority, ensuring clarity without coercion. Apply these 5 steps consistently. Start each day with deliberate focus, review past encounters, refine perception, and rehearse interpretive skills. Perception becomes a tool of sovereignty, shaping your influence with precision and ethical intent. Recognize patterns, predict behavior, and protect your cognitive boundaries. Others' attempts at manipulation dissolve as your disciplined awareness detects hidden agendas and subtle misalignments. Awareness of intention translates into strategic positioning, allowing you to act decisively while remaining morally grounded. Use every observation to fortify your throne, building mental dominance through repeated, conscious practice. Internalize the mantra: I see all, I understand all, I rule without resistance. Repeat it daily to reinforce cognitive discipline and presence. Let it guide your interactions, shaping responses and decisions with measured authority. With mastery over perception, external forces lose their power. Influence stems not from force, but from clarity and foresight. Every encounter reinforces sovereignty. Every observation strengthens insight. Your throne in the realm of human intent is untouchable, your judgment precise, your awareness absolute. Maintain consistency, refine attentiveness, and act with calm decisiveness. The mind's dominion is yours to hold ethically, unwaveringly, unshakably. I see all, I understand all, I rule without resistance.